how Orpington, Kent, has changed since the early 1980s. In the early 1980s, I was very concerned about the number of old buildings disappearing, so I photographed parts of Orpington, Kent and London to create a record. I mainly focused on listed buildings and locally listed ones, as well as anything else that was interesting. I have come back over the years to photograph, and more recently video, Church Hill in this case. So what has changed in the last 40 years? Please stay to the end to see all the detail about the most historic road in Orpington. I hope you enjoy. Please like and subscribe. Brought to you by Eclectic Experience, change seen through images. Church Hill and the close area contains all the officially listed buildings in central Orpington. The church, All Saints, the Priory and its outbuildings, which are all grade 2 star, and then Barn Hawe, which is a grade 2 building, and they are all central to the Priory Conservation area. I will prepare another video on the Priory, the old library and Priory Gardens later on, as there is so much to cover, but in this video I will just focus on Church Hill. To provide some context, we can see how things have previously changed by looking at old Ordnance Survey maps, linked in the description below. The oldest we are looking at here is 1871, and we can see the listed buildings, All Saints Church, the Priory and Barn Hawe, as well as the old vicarage here, and also see an old manor house, Barn Hawe, that was right next to All Saints Church. And at the other end of the road, notice across the high street the old White Hart pub, which was set further back from the road than the current pub with the same name. Moving on to 1898, and there is not a great deal of change, and there are still quite a few gaps between the buildings. By 1909, the next map, we can see quite a lot of change. The Lych gate is now marked on the map, and some houses have appeared on the hill. Also, the Anscombe Angle development can now clearly be seen. The 1933 map sees another leap, with on the far right the Orpington bypass, now the A224, having appeared, and then on Church Hill Bruce Grove has been constructed. Also, a hall has been put up on the junction with Anscombe Angle. This is the last map we will see the Barn Hawe Manor on, but then if we zoom in at the bottom of Church Hill, we can now see two banks marked. These are pictures of them in 1982, shortly before they were closed. And then opposite, the new White Hart, which is now closer to the high street, again seen here with a 1982 photo. Looking at the 1944 map, we see Barn Hawe, the manor house, has now gone, and Barn Hawe Road now laid out. The next detailed map is from 1961, and it is amazingly similar to today. At the bottom of the hill we can see the garage, and there is a hall that is marked as All Saints Church Hall, which I assume was later sold for retail use once the current hall on Barn Hawe Road was opened. But as we can see from the map, it didn't exist then. Then at the top of the hill is the library extension to the Priory, seen here in 1997. And then the church extension, which we see here in 1981. And this is where we'll start the 40-year comparison. Starting with All Saints Church, as expected, not much has changed since 1981. However, the big change happened a couple of decades earlier, when the church was significantly extended, making the original building just an annex. The extension was built on the site of an old manor house, Barn Hawe. This is the house as seen from an old print, with the church in the background, when interestingly it used to have a spire. The church is the oldest building in Orpington, with some Saxon parts which are over 1,000 years old. The building is listed as a grade 2 star, and a lot more information can be found on the Historic England official website. Details below. For some photographic comparisons, here are some old prints which I found in a very old book back in the 1980s and photographed them then. I've tried to take some similar ones today. Moving towards the road, we come to the Lych Gate, erected in 1879. What follows is a series of pictures taken over the years compared with very old prints from both sides of the gate. The Lych Gate is essentially the same, but it does look like it might need a little repair work now. If we look at the alley that leads to the back of the walnuts, we can see an old wall with flint at the bottom and topped with brick. I find it fascinating that these old bits of wall of mixed construction appear in several places in Orpington. They have survived in part for well over 100 years and are just repaired as needed. To highlight the point about repairing walls, I noticed this one was damaged in 2020 and seen here in 2023 with repair. On the right, going down Church Hill, we have the Priory and the old library that I will cover in a separate video. However, the Priory outbuildings do dominate Church Hill. The first picture I have is from 1982. I remember as a child in the 1970s, this was near derelict but was renovated as parts were over 400 years old and a use had been found to them in that they were turned into small offices. What I really like is in this photo we can see a sign of the firm that renovated the buildings, N&R Farris & Co. And it was still there in 1982 despite the renovations having taken place in the 1970s. Not surprising for a listed building, it has not changed much, and as we look through the years I find one of the interesting bits is where we can see the appearance and then the disappearance of ivy over the end building. On the other side of the road is the old vicarage. The first photo I have of this comes from 1984. It was built well over 100 years earlier in 1868, though the land was owned by the church since 1393. It was sold in the 1950s to the Metropolitan Water Board and is now used by the Probation Service. It is this site's boundary wall that we showed earlier with the hole in it. As we see looking through the years, there's no real change to this locally listed building. This is the club next door, which I first photographed in 2012. And again, no real change between then and now. The biggest change on this road revolves around this Grade 2 listed building. It was originally built in the early 19th century. It's Barn Hawe and it's Grade 2 listed. My first photo is from 1984 when, if I remember correctly, it was a Unigate dairy. As a child I remember the battery milk floats coming into the yard here. The main change is that there was a wooden fence in 1984. The fence had gone by the next photo in 1997. If we zoom in on this photo, as well as seeing the red gates from the Unigate dairy, we also see a shopping trolley by the front door. Looking in 2020, we can see the major building work is underway, constructing both housing on the old depot site at the back and on the side facing Bruce Grove, which we can see before and after here. Then across the road we have these two buildings. I did not realise until I looked at this 1961 map that this building was once the All Saints Church Hall. I assume it remained the church hall until the current one on Barkhart Road was built. This is the unit through the years. The garage is also interesting. Looking at the first picture in 1997, it still was dispensing fuel, then as we see from the pump, and also the old Duckham signs. Also note that the first floor had an interesting pointed window. By 2002, the pump had gone and the building repainted. But then look in 2007, the whole front has changed and an extra story added, seen here through the years. I've made a series of videos on how the High Street has changed over the last 40 years. Click here for the first video in the sequence. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If so, please click the like button. I'll be making more similar videos, so please like and subscribe for future releases. Links to more videos on how Kent and London has changed can be seen at the end. Thank you for watching Eclectic Experience, change seen through images.